We need to talk about a trap that people might get caught in right now. And with silver running up and its price closer to $60, many people want to flock into it trying to catch a fast moving train before it gets far out of reach. So I want to address why you may want to consider not going after silver, but rather shifting your focus into gold. So let's break everything all down in today's video. Hi everybody, and welcome back to yet another video. So guys, it's no surprise that silver has been climbing up like crazy as of late, and I think by now a lot of people have caught on as to what's been happening. And of course, when everyone starts paying attention collectively, that's probably a sign that you should look somewhere else. And as things are, well, at least for the time being, silver might be becoming a little bit too popular. Well, at least in my opinion, I think it's time that we should slow down on the silver purchases. Not to say that you should stop, but perhaps we should start thinking about picking up some gold. Now again, I'm not telling anyone what they need to do in any particular situation or thing, but I can at least tell you what I'm thinking of, or what I would personally do right now given where we are. And for that, I personally think that silver is becoming a bit too popular right now, and it seems like everyone wants it. And sometimes I do find myself debating internally that I'm not going to have enough silver and I need to get more. And to me, that's a bit of a warning sign. But I'm sure that mentality is shared amongst others, and that desire to keep emotionally buying could be a trap. And I have to remind myself of the plan that I have in place and how to adjust so that I can avoid falling into that trap that I'm very sure that a lot of others will fall into. Now, I have been stacking silver exclusively over the past year and a half to 2 years, and this is now the first time where I'm finding myself to be tested on how I execute my stacking decisions. Because up until the past week, it's been very easy just to pick up the cheapest type of silver that I could find. That's always been the plan for the past 2 years. But now, with the prices moving as high as they are, the gold to silver ratio is now telling me that I need to start focusing on adding some gold into the mix. Now, I don't own any ounces or fractional coins other than this gold back here, so we're going to kind of use this for visual demonstrations for the time being, as this is, while I guess technically a form of a fractional piece of gold, it is the best that I can do considering that I actually don't own anything other than this little piece here. And speaking of the gold backs, I went to check and see if they were still running this promotion or not. And it's been a while since we last talked about gold backs on this channel, but just in case you didn't do it earlier in this year, you can actually go to their website at goldback.com and you can claim the 1/2 gold backs like the one that you see here. And you can actually choose between the Arizona one, the Oklahoma, or the Florida gold back like the one that I have. So just fill out your information here, and if you guys could, let them know that I sent you in the comment section. So you may as well just go get your free gold back since we're revisiting this topic again. I'll put the link in the description below for you guys to go do that if you haven't done so already. Alright, so back to the video, and as I was stating earlier, since silver's price has gone up so much lately, the price of gold hasn't been as exciting, and as a result, the GSR has been dropping. Just a week ago, we were in the 80s, and as of the recording of this video today on Tuesday, December 2nd, the GSR has gone down to 71, which is getting closer and closer each day to that 50 to 60 level that a lot of us are waiting for. Now, to get any of the newer stackers caught up as to why that 50 to 60 level specifically is being mentioned is because a lot of us have been buying silver when it was in the 80 to as high as 120 in the GSR range. And for a lot of us, that means we can trade in or sell our silver and pick up some gold as a result of that. Now, while we consider it a swap or a trade, it's technically two transactions going back to back, but for simplistic sake, we'll just call it a trade or a swap. So at those levels, we are eagerly waiting for that moment to happen, that for that 50 to 60 range, so that we can pick up some gold with all the cheap silver that we picked up a couple years ago. So to avoid that behavioral mistake of getting too caught up in one area versus another, using the GSR is helpful for me in assisting with which metal I want to go with. Hyper-focusing on one thing can get you to fall into a different type of trap where you'll just ignore other opportunities. And So allowing the GSR to tell me which one to focus on helps regulate the emotional decision making process for me. And with the GSR at 71, that doesn't mean I'm going to stop buying silver. It just means I just need to play a little bit of catch up from gold side of things. And as I stated earlier, I've been stacking silver for the past 2 years almost exclusively, so a slight rebalancing effort is going to be needed. But again, it doesn't mean I won't pick up any silver if I see a good deal, or if I have any spare change to use. However, the only time I would stop buying silver is if the GSR goes down by another 11 points, I guess if you call it points, or I guess by a factor of 11. Well, I don't know. Either way, if the GSR falls at or below 60, that would be the only time that I would exclusively buy gold and avoid silver. And by that point, the price of silver will probably be much higher than it is now, and even more first timers will get in and want in on silver, and will just oversaturate the market's desire for silver even more. So what's the right move to make with the GSR at the 71 mark? Well, I guess that just depends on you and what you want. For myself, I like to keep a certain percentage of my stack related to the GSR levels. Now that sounds a little confusing here on YouTube to describe, but essentially what I like to do is I like to have the value of my stack be tied to a certain percentage based on what the GSR level is. To give you an example of that, with the GSR at 71, I like to keep it at a 50-50 mix of gold and silver. Now, it's of course not in ounces, but in terms of value. So you can imagine how that can fluctuate many times in between the 60 to 80 range. But again, it's kind of difficult to explain over a narrated YouTube video, but I have a spreadsheet that I use that tracks all that stuff, so you'll just have to kind of take my word for it, I guess. So one final thing that I'd like to point out, or perhaps another trap / mistake, is that someone can fall into is selling something. Opposite to the emotional buying problem that I brought up earlier. Just because I think or feel like something is at an all-time high or whatever doesn't make sense to just do so. Because if you remember my GSR percentages, I just said that I don't want to sell my way into getting those numbers, but rather I want to buy my way up into those levels. I'm not buying silver right now because I want to pick up some gold, at least enough to create a 50-50 balance as of right now. And that could change by tomorrow or even next week, but I wouldn't want to sell any parts of my stack just to get something else other than a trade. And that's the only time I would actually part with my metal, is to pick up another one instead via a trade or swap. Because the goal of stacking is that you don't want to lose any of the items that you work so hard to acquire. But if I'm going to part with anything like my silver, it's because I converted it into gold, not back into fiat. So while this channel has been predominantly a silver stacking focused type of channel, I never really planned on it being exclusively silver. I wanted it to be a little bit of everything, but I was just waiting for the right time for the GSR to drop farther down than it is right now to include gold as an option for the channel. And I would like to start adding more gold here soon so that we can include it for topics and visuals and whatever else that I can think of that would support the channel even further. So if you're to ask if you even want to get the gold back, you can do that too. It just really depends on what you're interested in. So those are my thoughts on the metals lately, and I want to hear what you guys have to say. Are you picking up or switching into gold yet? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to pick up the free gold back. That link will be in the description. Let them know that I sent you. And that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye, guys.